Welcome to another huge episode of Triggered. I hope everyone's doing well. 2 shows in a row live in studio. It's actually hard to believe that's unusual, but the travel schedule's been pretty insane as of late. But psyched to be here. Great to join you live all this week. We've got big news on the Iran MOU, okay? Memorandum of Understanding. We're seeing gas prices literally come down now for the first time in a few months. So as we said, short term, all of these things kind of amazing, and a lot of other things are happening too. So we'll get into all of it. Plus, if there's time, I'll try to take a few of your questions live. So have those ready. Don't put them in the chat right now because I got too much stuff to cover. So hold up a little bit, especially if you have good stuff, you know, for the usual trolls that say the same thing over and over and over again. I guess you can, you know, do your thing. But if you have good questions, save them towards the end. You know, we'll get there in half hour, 45 minutes or so. Guys, make sure that you're liking, sharing, subscribing so you never miss one of these episodes. If you do miss the show here on Rumble, go over to Apple or Spotify podcasts to catch it there. If you have friends, perhaps they get their podcast that way. Make sure they are aware. So, you know, subscribe there, even if you watch here regularly. Share it with your friends, especially if you know they're not watching here on Rumble. For all of the top headlines that we cover on the show, go check out my news app, MXM News, like minute by minute, MXM News, where you can get the mainstream news without the mainstream bias. And of course, don't forget about our brave sponsors for having the guts to support this program. So guys, be sure to protect your health and be prepared with All Family Pharmacy. If you want fast, quality medications without the waiting room or the long lines, All Family Pharmacy has you covered. It gives you peace of mind knowing that you can have these critical medications show up right at your door. So just go to allfamilypharmacy.com and use promo code DonJr10, DONJR10 at checkout. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com, promo code DonJr10. And speaking of protecting yourself, guys, check out our friends over at Goldco to diversify your savings. Like I always say, guys, educate yourselves, learn, and then take the steps to plan for the future. And you can do that with my friends over at Goldco, and you can convert an existing IRA into an IRA in actual gold. To learn more, go to donjuniorgold.com. Again, that's DONJRgold.com. Now, let's get to what we're all been waiting for, the top headlines of the day, because we'll start over in France, because my father sat down at a dinner at the Palace of Versailles and signed the United States-Iran Memorandum of Understanding, which Iran signed as well, okay? That's a big one. It's a huge news for the world, for a region that's been troubled for 47 years. This is a huge breakthrough. Check this out.
Yes.
Bravo. Good job.
Thank you, everybody.
Great job. Bravo.
Now, you're hearing a lot of noise about what this MOU is and what it isn't, okay? The neocons and the warmongers, they're out in full force. They're attacking anyone who supports peace in the world, you know, the usual nonsense. But there's not pallets of cash or taxpayer dollars going to Iran, period. Okay, let's be clear about that. There's no cash or U.S. taxpayer dollars going to Iran. And whatever private dollars get invested will be based on Iran's performance and their cooperation, okay? If they behave, they get to have inward investment into their country, okay? That's a big deal. It's a little different than the past, where we just send them billions of dollars in cash and they can fund whatever they want, terrorism, remember? Oh, you know, money's not fungible. You know, we're giving it to them for this. Yeah, they just stopped spending money on food and whatever it is. They use that money for food and use whatever money they were allocating for food to build bombs to kill Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan. this is different. This isn't some sort of giveaway like you're hearing from some of the con artists in the swamp, okay? You know they're going to lie about it. You know the nonsense. That's why we always ask you to like, to share, subscribe. Send this to your friends because, again, the media, the neocons, the Republicans who would love us to be mired in another never-ending war because they love war more than they love our country, they're wrong. They're lying. But most people are never going to understand that. We no longer have a nuclear-armed Iran. And this weeks-long, not decades-long, military and economic campaign shattered the regime. This is a foreign policy that serves the interests of the people who ultimately pay for it. And Senator Eric Schmidt, friend of the show and a great guy, laid it out as well as anyone. Check this out.
Side in giving this an opportunity.
There isn't. And I think this, again, dealing from a position of strength and clarity. The President of the United States, President Trump, was very clear from the get-go what the mission here was, which was to ensure that Iran would never have a nuclear weapon. They have no ability to do that, and they're signing on the dotted line now, Sean, for the first time that they're not going to do that, and we don't need to trust them. We just need to verify that, right? So effectively, President knocked out their military capability. Their Navy's at the bottom of the sea. They have no air defense. Their nuclear program is in shambles. It's nowhere near ever being started up again. And we can always go back and mow the lawn if necessary because we've got eyes on it. So the president's provided now, through all of that action, space for diplomacy. That has always been his North Star. You know that in any situation. And he's got it right now. So there's always more things to do. We need to make sure, obviously, we're verifying all of this. But the president's pulled off something here that most experts 6 months ago wouldn't have thought were possible. And I think it's good for the American people.
You create the space for diplomacy by making the other side understand the alternative, okay? What the experts never understood, okay, that they never got it, okay? That's the big one. They never understood that. Diplomacy without power is begging. Diplomacy after strength is something very different. Here's the Vice President, J.D. Vance, with the latest on where things go from here.
Any of the critics is, number one, have a little bit of faith in the President of the United States. The idea that he is going to strike a deal that's been bad for the American people, it's preposterous. He is the person who has had the courage to fundamentally transform our relationship with Iran and with a lot of other countries over the last year and a half. He believes in this deal. He is going to see it to completion, and if the Iranians don't comply, we still have every single tool and point of leverage that we have today. That'd be message number one, is have a little faith in the president's ability, given that he's got us this far, to take us the final step. The second thing that I would say is so many of what I've read or heard that people believe about this deal is just fundamentally untrue. It is a memorandum of understanding. It is fundamentally a principle that, yes, the Straits of Hormuz are going to be open immediately, and they already are. Yes, they're going to give up their highly enriched material, but they've got to actually do it. It's about conduct. It's about rewarding good conduct and punishing bad conduct, which in some ways is what we've been doing for the last 3 months vis-a-vis that country anyway. So many of the criticisms, I saw Lindsey Graham came out with a positive statement after expressing some concerns. I think that when people get to understand not just the agreement, but our negotiating posture as a country, they will realize this is an excellent thing for the American people, but that's part of our job. We've got to tell the story about what this means for Americans, how it's going to make all of us safer and more prosperous. That's why I'm here talking to everybody, and we're going to keep on telling that story in the days and weeks to come.
I love that. Have a little faith. Maybe, just maybe, trust the guy who broke their military capacity first. Trust the guy who kept the leverage on. Trust the guy who knows that a deal with a hostile regime is only worth the actual consequences behind it. Here's more from my father himself at the G7.
The administration for decades has sought to get Iran to relinquish its nuclear ambitions, but the threat only got bigger. The words got bigger and bigger and stronger and bigger, and nothing ever happened. And Iran got stronger and tougher. If we didn't blow them up the first time and then blow out those weapons, they would have been unstoppable. This should have done, what I'm doing and what I did should have been done years ago.
And as simple as it sounds, this is actually a signed deal, unlike Obama's disaster. No one tells you that. The Obama deal, never even got signed, okay? Kind of a difference. the fighting stops on every front, including Lebanon. And the Straits of Hormuz, the choke point that literally moves a fifth of the world's oil reserves, reopens. And as I said, the reconstruction money isn't a check from the American taxpayer. Okay, let's make that very clear, because that's the soundbite I keep saying, oh my God, they're giving them all this money, yada, yada, yada. No, it's not from the American taxpayer. We're not paying them off. We're not paying a hostile regime, okay? We're not giving them your money. It's private investment from the Gulf states and partners in Asia, okay? If Iran behaves, those countries will invest this money into them. They get to make a return on capital. They get to build up businesses there, whatever it may be. It's not coming out of your pocket. And Iran does not see a dime, not a dime of it, or any real sanction relief until it actually performs and the inspectors verify every step. The leverage never leaves American hands. Now, are there real questions left? Of course there are, guys. There has to be. That's the nature of foreign policy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the ink, is dry on world peace, okay? But it's a step in the right direction. There's a difference between honest, open questions on a deal that's signed and a problem everyone else told you just to live with forever. Just put up with it. It's no big deal. We'll figure it out later on. We'll kick the can down the road. We'll let the next president and the next one and the next one and the next one for 47 years deal with it, okay? It's different than that, okay? It's a problem that everyone told you to live with forever. Or, really, who wanted to keep the problem in place forever to ultimately protect their own entrenched interests. And that's sort of the theme that we talk about a lot on this show. Who actually benefits? Who has ulterior motives? Because what your favorite president is doing is applying pressure, getting a result, keeping the leverage. Then we always watch the people who profited from the old way try to talk you out of the win. And by the way, if you're really worried about what's going on and where the money is going, there's a fortune that's been quietly walking out the front door right here at home for years. And somebody's finally checking the receipts. Start with unemployment fraud. We're not talking about a rounding error here, guys. We're talking about tens of billions, not tens of millions, because that would be bad enough. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars. Prisoners collecting checks. Dead people collecting checks. Overseas crime rings running bot farms to file thousands of fake claims an hour. And for years, the states that let it happen faced exactly zero consequences. The money vanished and everyone shrugged. Well, that's not happening anymore. And it directly linked to the border, which for decades the swamp let spiral out of control. It was a total disaster. But now, for the first time in at least half a century, okay, this country had negative net migration. Read that again, okay? Let's be clear about that. The country had negative net migration. That means more people left than came in for the first time in 50 years. Over 2.5 million illegal aliens are gone. Some removed, far from, some who've really just self-deported on their own because, again, the gravy train was stopped because we actually started enforcing our laws. And it's not just paperwork. Watch what enforcement actually looks like now. Brought to you by the United States Coast Guard.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented.
225,000 pounds of cocaine. You know what? That's like a yacht, okay? That's like that kind of displacement. That's like a yacht weight of cocaine caught. burned, blown up, gone. And it's the same week that the Coast Guard out of Miami stopped a boat smuggling in 24 foreign nationals trying to sneak in by water. By land or by sea, the door is shut. Now, I want you to hold those two ideas together, the historic results and the kind of people we're keeping out. Because you know how the left talks about ICE, right? You've heard it all along. The hatred is very real. They've spent a year, frankly, many years, teaching America to hate the men and women who actually enforce our laws. So let me show you one of these so-called monsters who just saved a 6-year-old from drowning. Check this out.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
A 6-year-old boy, face down and unconscious in a pool in Florida, and an ICE officer named Jerry Simmons doesn't think twice. He just goes in and pulls that baby out of the water and brings him back to life. So here's an agent who jumps into a pool to save a drowning child, while the left is fighting to keep a child molester and a machete killer on your streets. The same people who told you Iran was permanent, the border disaster was permanent, the fraud was permanent, also told you that normal American instincts were backwards. They were somehow wrong. They told you wanting to defend yourself was primitive. Just take it. You know, you can always maybe make another kid, you know. What difference does it make, right? That's what they told you for years. They told you rooting for your own country was some sort of weird nationalistic defect, right? You're a nationalist. Oh, yeah, terrible. Who would love their own country? They told you every institution had to become a therapy session for the same tiny class of people who think the entire world is supposed to orbit around them. And sometimes a 15-second clip explains the elite narcissism better than a speech ever could. Brought to you by none other than Michelle Obama.
To describe your next chapter. One word.
Fun.
Me.
That's what you call
You
drop
like
the mic.
You know what? You seem to be grading her higher on her answer.
I mean, there it is, guys. One word. Me. Me. It's always me with them. You can tell. All of their actions. You know, they talk about trying to do things for others, but that's what it comes down to. Me. And look, I'm not going to spend 20 minutes psychoanalyzing Michelle Obama. The clip is the clip. But it's also a perfect little picture of the elite culture that has been lecturing you for years. Everything is self-expression. Everything is branding. Everything is some internal journey. Meanwhile, normal Americans are asking very basic questions. Can my kid walk safely down the street? Can the border be secured? Can the country win a negotiation? Can anyone in power just do their damn jobs? And then you get this next story, which is sort of hilarious because sometimes people from outside America arrive here and they figure us out faster than the left does. People from far off lands, very different cultures, they get here and they're like, they get it. They understand what makes this country so special. People from across the world are here for the World Cup, and many of them seem to be appreciating what America has to offer, including the right to bear arms.
Become extremely apparent to me after spending a few days here with a group of Americans and other nationalities is how much of a English people are in general when it comes to arms, guns, and basically protecting their nation. We've been totally pacified in the UK, and through removal of our arms, our right to bear arms, it's caused a big problem for us. And now our government is basically turning into this absolutely tyrannical, feminine leadership that is gradually eroding all of our rights. And there's really not much.
That right there, guys, is the Second Amendment red pill in real time, okay? People now get it. They see what's happening in their own country. They see they've lost total control. They see they're being overrun by third world migrants. And they say, man, it'd be nice if we could protect ourselves. You come here, you see what freedom actually looks like. You see normal people trusted with responsibility. And suddenly, the propaganda that they deal with back at home, and frankly, that we deal with here, the propaganda starts to crack. Because the whole left-wing project depends on convincing you that freedom is dangerous and that dependence is safety. Well, it's not, guys, right? They want you to give up your speech and they'll protect you from misinformation. How'd that work out over the last decade or so? Huh? What do you think? You think they're protecting you from misinformation, or do you think they're spoon-feeding it to you, jamming it down your throat day in and day out? Give up your gun rights and they'll protect you from violence. Ask that to the grooming gangs over in the UK and elsewhere in Europe. I don't think so. Give up your borders and they'll protect you from being called mean. You know, you just give up your whole civilization while you're at it. You know, you'll be a really nice person who's no longer allowed to exist. And as it turns out, the right-wing hate, you know, when I say hate, put it in air quotes, the right-wing hate the left claims is such a problem is one that they created, because we're learning even more how the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Learning Center, okay, was funneling money to the KKK and neo-Nazi groups for years to manufacture fake hoaxes, okay? This is one of those radical left-wing groups. They were literally funding, like the 3 neo-Nazis left in America, they're funding them. They're giving them money to create hate, okay, so that they can combat the hate that they literally are funding and created. And you're not going to believe this one, but according to a new report in the New York Post, authorities say that the top SPLC official, okay, the person in charge of all of these things, was funneling $1.2 million of donor money to some nutjob SPLC-backed white supremacist group, okay, who leader was also her lover, okay? You can't make this up. So a liberal, anti-hate, anti-fascist, anti-this was literally not just funding a neo-Nazi, but was sleeping with them, okay? They were lovers. So I guess when they say, and when they're screaming, you know, fuck fascism, I guess they meant it literally. They're actually fucking fascism, okay? Because that seems crazy. I mean, if you're supporting and you're paying fascists to be fascist, doesn't that make you a fascist? I mean, how can you be at the SPLC? How can you be calling everyone in the world a Nazi when you're literally sleeping with one and giving them money? But the South Park level comedy does not stop there, because Democrats are struggling with the most basic questions. But, guys, as usual, you don't have to take my word for it. Look at this clip from earlier this week and see for yourself.
The first match this weekend at MetLife Stadium taking place in New Jersey, even though some people say it is technically New York. But what do you think will win it all? Who are you rooting for?
Oh, I like Mexico.
Mexico, there you go.
I'm rooting for Senegal.
Senegal, okay.
I mean, it might seem like a small thing, but it's so revealing. Who are you, an American reporter, an American journalist, an American, rooting for in the World Cup? And the answer is, of course, Mexico and Senegal. You know, not America. I mean, God forbid you can't root for your own country. That would make you racist, fascist, misogynist, homophobic, well, you know, whatever, all the ists. Now, again, people can have family ties, heritage, whatever. No one's saying you're not allowed to like another team. But when this keeps happening with the same political class, when every instinct points away from the country they're supposed to represent, you know what, guys? People start to notice. They start noticing that you're not rooting for America. They start notice that, frankly, you're rooting for everyone but America. And then they start to say, you know what? That probably checks out with the way that they're reporting. Americans notice when Democrats root against American energy, okay? When they root against American teams, when they root for foreign countries. They notice when they root against American borders, against American cops, against American workers. And then you ask them a simple sports question, a simple one. And even there, they just can't say, yeah, I'm rooting for the United States. They can't do it because they believe their own crap. That's a terrible country. Everyone's raised a misogynist. The usual. They believe their BS. Okay, they've been spreading it for a long time. They've probably been funding it. Certainly the lies and the misinformation. And that's the point. These little clips are funny, but they're also little x-rays of the same disease. A ruling class obsessed with itself. A left-wing worldview embarrassed by normal American strength. A political movement that sees freedom as a problem to manage. And the reason these little clips matter is because politics is downstream from instinct, okay? If your first instinct is always to apologize for America, you will make weak foreign policy, okay? You're not negotiating from a position of strength. If you think you're terrible people, if you think you're oppressive, if you're thinking all the crap they've been feeding you forever, you start off losing all of your leverage and all of your power. If your first instinct is to always distrust law-abiding citizens, you will attack the Second Amendment and protect the criminal. And you'll build the institutions that serve the elite and call it public service, when in fact, it's public disservice. If your first instinct is to root for anyone except the country that gave you everything, don't be shocked when normal people start believing your speeches about patriotism. Or stop believing, I should say. Okay? No one believes it anymore. They haven't in a while. This is why the left keeps losing the plot. They think the problem is messaging. No, the problem is instinct. Americans can feel it when the person lecturing them doesn't actually like them. When they don't like them, respect them, they don't even like their own country. They can feel it when a politician says, our democracy, but really it means our machine. They can feel it when left-wing experts and the academics tell them to surrender their rights in the name of safety, while the same experts can't secure the border, can't balance the budget, can't stop fraud, and cannot even say the country they represent, the country they're from, should win a soccer game. That's why these clips land. They're small, but they're honest. They're almost too honest. They show you the reflex. Okay? The reflexive instinct of these people is to dislike and distrust America. And that's why the policy wins matter so much. Because when the government starts working again, when the border starts closing, when the fraud gets checked, when Iran comes to the table because America has leverage again, it doesn't just fix policy. It breaks the spell. It proves the people lecturing you were wrong. It proves the experts were, frankly, anything but. They were not wise, right? You've heard me say this on the show 1,000 times, right? Remember in the first term, can't believe he would talk to North Korea. Like, Trump's policy there is so wrong. It's all wrong. Why? Well, because we led the coalition for America for 40 years. And well, this is wrong. Well, what did you accomplish in those 40 years? Nothing. Have you ever had a conversation with the other side or the leader? No. Then what'd you do? Your life's work was jack shit. You accomplished nothing, okay? But you're the expert? Maybe you should lose your expert status if you've been wrong for like 4 decades. You don't get to be a pilot if you can't pass your checkout flights, okay? Why would you be an expert forever if you've always been wrong? For my whole life, the deal in this country was that certain problems were just permanent. I mean, look at the things like NAFTA and USAID. The fraud machines and the fake charities and the untouchable money were permanent. The culture of apology and narcissism and America last embarrassment was permanent. And every time you got angry about it, somebody very serious in Washington patted you on the head and told you that's just how the world works. Well, this week called the bluff on all of it. The war nobody could end is ending. The problem no one could fix is getting fixed. The border no one could close posted numbers that we haven't seen in 50 years. The money nobody was allowed to touch is getting touched, and it's getting put back into your pockets for things that matter to you. And those who were doing the crimes are getting prosecuted. None of it was permanent. It didn't have to be. We just didn't have anyone willing to actually stand up and fight. It was protected by a permanent class that has failed you over and over again. So don't let anyone tell you it can't be done. It's being done right now, in real time, on the stuff they swore was hopeless. Keep your eyes open, keep the pressure on, keep noticing which side fights for you and which side fights for their political machine. All right, with that, maybe we'll take some questions for a little while. Let's see what you guys got, okay? I'm not seeing the chat up here. Let's see what we got. All right. Get some good ones, guys. If you asked them early, sometimes the chat gets a little fast. So, Don's on fire today. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, just peachy. Thank you. I appreciate that. The Trump legacy will continue. I hope so. I mean, that, not about Trump legacy. It's like American legacy. Just giving people a chance to have what they've always wanted, what we were promised this country was all about. I always said that in the first term. It was like, why you do this? I thought I was fighting to preserve, the America that I, grew up knowing and loving. Turns out, no, I was fighting to create an America that we all want to exist, but hasn't in a very long time. And that's a really big deal. The low tech, why do we not have mass deportations yet? Well, 2.5 million leaving is a big one, okay? You saw when the Biden administration was flying people all over the country, putting, on a plane, here's a plane load of people to this city, and this city, and this city, and this city, and they spread them out. It's not so easy, okay? They are doing it. They're making it hard for them to get the freebies, so you're actually getting a lot of people self-deporting, which is really nice. They're going after the criminals. They're going after the fraudsters. So you have to start these things. Like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You got to do something and start. Okay? Does that mean you're going to get rid of 25 million people, 10 million plus people, whatever it is? It's probably closer to 25. That doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen a year or two, okay? Just think of the numbers of officers relative to how many people that is. They'd have to deport thousands a day. That doesn't work, but they're doing it, and they're taking one chunk at a time, and it's only going to accelerate. Ace Grun 0311, happy 12th birthday, Chloe Trump. Yeah, day before yesterday was Chloe, my daughter's 12th birthday, so that's my youngest. We had an awesome time here. We did hibachi, and just had an awesome evening. Can't believe she's 12. It's crazy. Makes me feel pretty old, actually. Makes me feel pretty old. But we had a good time. I'm really proud of her. She's an amazing little girl. Just an awesome kid. So, yep, she just turned 12 the other day. And, we're working on that. Happy birthday, Chloe. You probably saw it on my Instagram. I got up sort of the obligatory post, even though these days I've just been so busy. I haven't been posting as much as I normally, or as much as I used to, but I got to get back on that. Dr. Maga Newts. Don Jr., can you hire me? I'll take a janitorial position or a gate guard job. Non-K, non-crook. Oh, congrats on the B-Day. I mean, could be good. I'll keep an eye out. Okay, I'm not hiring at the moment, but I will keep an eye out. Let's see. You or Eric, which one do you think carry the Trump movement forward? Maybe both. Let's see. I've probably been more political than Eric. Paid for it accordingly, but I think we all have to be vocal. We all have to be out there, and I think everyone has to do the same. Like, what I'm hoping from this whole movement is that my father just opened the door for people who aren't part of the machine to, get in the game. Okay, I think why you saw the vitriol, the vicious attacks, the way they tried to, break him and us and jail us and all these things, and I'm sure they'll, if they win the House or the Senate, they'll start that nonsense all over again. It wasn't just to go after him. It was to send a message to anyone else from the outside, anyone who didn't come from that political class. Don't even bother. We're going to make your life so hell. It's just not worth it. But the reality is it is worth it, okay? It is worth it. We all have to get in there. So, that's a big deal. So, the idea of all of this hopefully opens the door for other people who would not have otherwise thought about getting into politics. I don't mean running for president or even Congress or Senate or anything like that. Like, get involved in your school board. Become the dog catcher, whatever it may be. All those institutions that have been commandeered and taken over by the left, like, get in there because it is worth it. And if you aren't involved, it's sort of hard to bitch about what's going on, but you're going to cede your country and your children's future to these insane people, and we just can't have that. You think the Fed will ever be ended? I don't know. God knows there's plenty of times I definitely want it to be ended, and at the same time, there are times it serves a purpose. Usually, it's been so politicized it's sort of hard. So hopefully, the new Fed chairman actually runs it the way it should be, not as the finance arm of the Democrat Party. So we'll see how that goes. How's married life? Bettina would make a classy first lady. Thank you. So far, married life's been good. It's about a month, so I guess it's a month tomorrow. It's been great. We've had an absolute blast. I'm truly blessed to have an incredible woman, in my life. She's just been absolutely amazing. Just having so much fun, and it's really good. It's really good. I wonder what female Democrat operative Donald Trump Jr. is sleeping with now. Zero. None. Okay, I don't know. I think I'm probably kryptonite to that, but I'm also happily married, and so that ain't happening, though. These are some crazy people, so who the hell knows? But I guess if the leader of, or one of the leaders of the SPLC, radical left-wing anti-fascist group, can sleep with a neo-Nazi and give him lots of money, I guess anything's possible, but not for me. Let's see. How did your dad like Versailles? Spencer DeVino. I'm sure he loved it. I mean, it's definitely his aesthetic. So, it's probably very Mar-a-Lago-esque. He likes the ornate stuff. He loves his gold and gold leaf. So I'm sure he loved it. But I know he's been crazy busy, so I haven't touched base with him. I saw him obviously all last weekend. I'll be with him again this weekend. But I haven't checked in yet. So ask me that next week when I get a chance to catch up and see how it was, but I'm sure it was pretty awesome. I'm sure it was pretty awesome. The wedding was beautiful. Was that the Berry Islands? No, that was in the Exumas. We have some friends that have a place there, and they were just like, hey, come do it over here. And it's one of our favorite places in the world. So, 18 people at the wedding, just small group of friends. A couple people came in the next day, just to, sort of do a fun party, which was great. And, but yeah, Berry Islands is further south. We have a lot of friends that go there, diving and spearfishing and stuff like that. But got to get there soon. But no, this is a little bit further north. Did you go fishing, Yaholo? I actually did. Yeah, I went. We did a little spearfishing. Shot some grouper, snapper that we ate that weekend. I actually brought my fly rod. Got to catch some bonefish. Not really a great bone fishing area, but some of the guys that we know there that are locals, took me out to a couple of their secret spots. So got to do a little fly fishing for bonefish, a couple times that weekend. So, that's a big one, and we just had a blast. Hey, Don, when will you throw your old wardrobe? I'm not sure what that means, but, I guess I will say this. A lot of the old wardrobe has definitely changed. I think Bettina has been a good influence in my life. She's a lot more stylish and fashionable than I am. I never gave a crap about fashion. But, a couple times I'd show up. She'd be like, yeah, you're not wearing that out. You dress like a 48-year-old frat boy. And so, she's changed that a little bit. So that's a big one. Saw up here at Don, do you work out? Yep, I tried it today. It was leg day, so try to get out there whenever I can. I've not been nearly as good. I feel like really sort of up, especially, up top these days. But yes, I do try to get it, at least 3-4 days a week. If I can, I just got to probably do a better job of making it a little bit more consistent. Any barracuda while I was fishing? No barracuda. No, not this time. Just bonefish, grouper, snapper. Some of that stuff. Let's see. What do we got? Franklin's 779. Nothing wrong with being obese, Don. I'm going to start body shaming myself. Yeah, I'm a little thicker than I'd like. Well, listen, I like being strong. I'm doing okay strength wise. I just gotta push it a little bit. But for 48-year-old dude doing north of 10 dead hang pull-ups at like 195 and stuff. So a little thicker in the waist than I'd like, but I still got it. Dottie Gooden, it's snapper season. Yeah, I didn't even check the dates. I haven't been here local that much, so I haven't gotten to do that in Florida, but we caught some when we were in the Bahamas. Let's see. Gene, Louise, this is what you talk about? Well, we did a whole show, Gene. Now I'm just answering your guys' questions. So, if you have a question, ask it. But if you're saying this is what I talk about, I'm answering what you guys are asking me. So, let's see. Stupid question. Let's see. Trump regime change in Colombia coming soon. I guess there's an election coming soon, so runoffs in the next couple days. I did hear that, so let's see what happens there. I know there's been a pretty good red wave over Latin America. I think that's pretty important, and maybe that's because USAID money isn't going there as it was funding all the leftist BS for a long time. Don, you don't look a day over 38. No worries. I appreciate that because I'm 48, so we just crazy. You think of 48, like when I was a young guy, you thought 48 was like, that was so old. And now, I don't feel old. I feel pretty damn good. I think I could probably beat the crap out of my 25-year-old self. Probably not cardio-wise because, I was a rower in college. I was always pretty good at that. Now I don't do nearly enough of that. But, let's see what happens. We gotta work on it. You gotta stay in shape because once you lose it, it's very hard to get back. Does your dad ever sleep? Lulu 1955. Honestly, no. Almost no. I think he probably averages like 3 hours a night. It's sort of amazing. I mean, I've seen that guy even at 80, 79, 80, just pull all-nighters and like not just like an all-nighter, like 2 in a row and just keep going. So he's just built differently. Always has been. It's not like he got that way as he got older. He was always that way even when we were younger. He just never slept much, was always working. So it's pretty amazing. Don Jr. 2028, thank you very much. I appreciate it. In the meantime, let's just worry about midterms. Let's fight to keep this agenda going. That's my focus, always has been. Gene Bondano. Don, I'm 49, I know exactly what you mean. I know, right? Like, I feel great. The only thing I miss about youth in terms of like feeling is like just not waking up sore for no reason whatsoever. Like I can sneeze myself into like 3 weeks of neck pain at this stage of my life, which really sucks. So we will see. Let's see what else we got. We got any good questions? I see a lot of sort of statements, not really questions. Save America, act on the political cartel. Collins, Murkowski, McConnell. Tillis, what's your take? That Republicans could actually be in office and not push for this stuff is insane. They know exactly what's happening, and maybe that's, maybe they've been beneficiaries of that. Meaning, maybe the weak Republicans also get to be the beneficiaries of some of those things because. As long as you're not too conservative, maybe they let you get by. That's sort of the DC rule. You can be like 85% conservative. You can vote for a bunch of those things, but when it actually matters on the things that your constituency actually wants happen, as long as you fold on that. So, I think it's terrible that nothing's happening there. I think it's actually disgusting. It's something that the American populace, like 84% of it across the board, not just our side, want. So, I want to see it going, but, you got to get them to do it, and you guys can be a part of that. Get vocal, get loud with them as well. Let's see. Yeah, how can any GOP vote against voter ID, OC 2112? It's honestly, it's hard to believe. And again, 84% of Americans want this. 84% across the board. Okay, like right, left, center, independent, they all want it, and so it's crazy. So hopefully we get that one done and get it done soon. Don Jr., would you consider running in the future to keep your father's hard work on track? And listen, I don't ever rule anything out, but again, like I said, my focus right now is, doing what I can to promote the agenda that I believe in, that, he has crafted and created, to have him have the most successful presidency he can possibly have. And, hopefully we get a bench of other great people that can carry that. I mean, I thought JD this week, going on The View, going on these places, was actually pretty amazing. I thought he crushed it, in those places. So, I want to make sure we have a deep bench so that we can win, these things for generations to come. Because if you look at the crap show that the other side is putting out there, man, like, one more bad leftist president and the republic is gone. And so, we got to do what we can to preserve that. Let's see. Okay, usual nonsense. Some of you guys have some narrative that is pretty amazing. Like, I'd address it if it wasn't so insane. But that's okay. We need you in the Senate to help pass your dad's agenda. Well, it's a little late for that one, but, who knows? I think we have some pretty good options. We just got to actually get out there and elect them. That's what's nice. You don't see too many anymore of the sort of neocon, class running. We have a chance of having sort of America First patriots actually win, and the Senate needs more of those than anywhere, because that the Senate's just so weak, frankly, on the Republican side. So we got to get out there and get these guys in there to help balance out some of the guys that they call themselves Republicans, but they might as well be Democrats. Let's see. The mail-in ballot in Utah and Colorado, it's nuts. Do we really have to? We do really have to rally before November? Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard to believe. It's sort of weird how some of the most conservative states in the country, especially like a place like Utah, can definitely go so crazy. It's almost like the Democrats give up in those states, so they just elect the weakest Republicans, and so you end up with these sort of like just weak Republicans that the Democrats can push around, which you might as well have a Democrat in. And that seems to happen in the most conservative places. So the Democrats don't vote for themselves, but they primary for the weak Republican. The weak Republican wins, and then you end up basically with a Democrat. It's kind of a problem, but, again, we got to work on it. More nonsense. Would you rather have sex with Hillary or Michelle? Come on, guys. Listen. It's a funny question. I don't know. I don't think either of those would work for me. It's just it's never gonna happen. It's pretty gross. I mean, it's a funny question. I probably shouldn't have even read it, but you guys are out of control. Yeah, I'm seeing the vomit emojis popping up in the thing right now. Don is canceling question time. That's right. Well, I got to cancel question time because I got to go throw up. But man, it was a stupid question, Junior. That's why. Okay, I said it. I mean, I had this because it is a little bit funny. 1010 Leilu. Will Bettina ever go camping with you? Yeah, Bettina's like she's super outdoorsy. I mean, that's like you almost have to be to hang out with me because I'm always doing that kind of stuff. So not so much that it's always there. She's does not want to do the crazy roughing it stuff that I do, but she comes out hunting with me a bunch, and she's a great shooter. She was a great athlete, Frank. She D1 All-American lacrosse player. Went to Columbia to play lacrosse. Was in her youth before that was a top 50 tennis player in Florida. She's just a great athlete. Super sporty, can do everything pretty well. So, she'd probably be more into glamping than hardcore camping. Like when I'm camping, it's like drop me off on a mountain in the Yukon with a backpack and a rifle and find me in 2 weeks. So that's it's not for everyone. Frankly, it's not for most, but I like it. So that's not so much for her, but she can totally do the glamping, and she loves to get out there. Comfort and joy. 22. Bettina is exceptional. You did well. Yes, she is. I am a very, very lucky man. Spencer Davino, what's your favorite state to golf in during the summer? I'm not a big golfer. I think it's going to get me thrown out of the will. But I think I'm the only Trump that doesn't really play golf. I was pretty good. My dad always yells at me just because I guess he saw that I had some talent when I played. But yeah, I never loved it like you need to get really good and to put in the time to really practice. He always mad at me because he's like, if you played, you'd be a +3. You'd be amazing. I was long. I was pretty accurate. I was this, I was good for someone who basically never practiced or never played, but it's just not my thing. So I would rather go hunting, fishing, shooting. I'd rather be out there in the woods. A little bit more my thing. Don Jr., what happened with the ballroom project? No, it's coming along. The other side and the judges and the nonsense, trying to stop it, but it's going well. It looked like the construction. I was there at the White House, spent the weekend there. It looked like it's moving along, despite all the people throwing up all the nonsense that they are at it. But it's going well, and so far so good. Defending 2A is a huge topic for us. The social mayors are a disaster. OC, yep, no, it's a big one for me, and so love that, believe in it, live it, practice it. It's not only just a hobby of mine; it's a passion of mine, and the shooting sports and self-defense and all of that. So it's a really big deal. So we got to protect that at all costs. Don, you to go fishing with me. Thank you. I appreciate that. That could be fun. You never know. Maybe one day that happens. Are you in DC for the 4th? Yep, I'll be there for that. Can't miss the 250th. I think that'll be just awesome. And I'm so blessed to be able to go experience that. To just be a fly on the wall of American history like that. I think is a really, really cool thing that you just absolutely can't miss. So. Super excited about that one, but we shoot the cannons again soon. The bowling ball cannons, the cannons, probably. Yeah, we got one up at my farm in Pennsylvania, and so that's always fun. A little, nothing like let's call it like a spray paint can cap full of black powder and a bowling ball. Can do some amazing things. Just try not to blow yourselves up. You did not get this from me. This is not pyrotechnic advice. Do this at your own risk. What's your favorite game to hunt and preferred weapon? Do you eat what you kill? You always eat what you kill, first and foremost. That's sort of the rule in hunting. I like the hard stuff. Like right now, especially while I can still do it, while I'm in good enough shape to do it, the mountain sheep hunting and that kind of stuff, backpack, terrain, no cabins, no camps, no this, just no trails. Carry your food and your rifle. It's more like an endurance race than anything, but I love that right now. Love a great archery elk hunt. Anything, honestly, with a bow and arrow is super fun. I love doing that, but I also love rifle hunting and whatever I can. And so try to get out when I can. Go hunting with Uncle Ted. Obviously talking about the Nuge. He's a good buddy of mine. It's funny. We've tried getting together like 15 times to go hunting. We have not been able to make it happen, but he's a good friend. We serve on a board of, guys called Hunter Nation, trying to get, organized hunters to get out there and vote and all these things. And that's a lot of fun. So he's a great dude. We have not actually hunted together yet, as much time as we've spent together. So we'll we do have to make that happen. But guys, I appreciate it. It's dinner time. I got a new wife that is going to get hungry and hangry, and so we're going to go have a great dinner tonight. I hope you guys have a good one. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember to like, to share, to subscribe. Okay, hit the like button right now. Okay, super easy. Share this with a few of your friends. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify Podcasts, or if your friends get their podcast that way. Okay, just do all of those things. Like, share, subscribe. Okay, check us out on the other podcast venues. We'll download the show here on there as soon as this thing's basically done. So anyone that needs to get informed, if they get their stuff that way, make sure they are aware. You guys are the front line of defense of all of that. Check out our incredible sponsors, okay? They're right down below in the video description. Hit those links. Check them out. If you have a need, support those who share your values. Okay? That's really simple. That's something we got to learn if we haven't already over the last 10 years. Get out there and do that. And as always, guys, remember, stay strong, stay informed, stay engaged, and always stay just a little bit triggered. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you all again very soon.